Everyone in the company talked about the new cleaner. She was young, quiet, and didn't say much. Her uniform was too big, and her shoes looked worn out. Some people said she came from a poor family. Others said she had no experience. No one knew the truth. Her name was Alina, and she was not just a cleaner. She was the daughter of the CEO. But she didn't want anyone to know that. Alina had grown up in comfort, but her father told her that leadership wasn't about sitting in an office. It was about understanding people. So she agreed to go undercover. No one, not even the managers, knew her identity. She used a fake last name and got the lowest job in the company, a cleaner in the back office. The job was hard. The floors were dirty, the bathrooms smelled, and most people ignored her. Some even laughed when she passed by. But Alina watched. She listened. She saw who worked hard. She saw who cheated. And most of all, she saw the manager. His name was Mr. Grayson, and he was in charge of that department. He wore shiny shoes and expensive watches, but his heart was cold. He didn't smile unless he wanted something. And he treated the workers like trash. The first time he saw Alina, he frowned. "Who hired her?" he asked loudly. "She looks like she belongs on the street." The office laughed. Alina said nothing. She lowered her eyes and began sweeping the floor. But inside, her heart was burning. Not with anger, but with purpose. She had come to learn. And this was her lesson. Each day, Alina came early and stayed late. She cleaned the floors, washed the windows, and took out the trash. But she was always watching. Mr. Grayson yelled at workers who made small mistakes. He gave extra work to older staff and took credit for their ideas. He called cleaners useless and once told a janitor, "You're lucky we even pay you." Alina never reacted, but every night she wrote in her notebook. She kept records, names, dates, words. She knew her father would want real proof, not just stories. One rainy morning, something changed. Mr. Grayson dropped his coffee. It spilled across the floor. He shouted, "Cleaner, come wipe this mess before I slip." Alina rushed over with a mop. But as she cleaned, he looked down at her with a smirk. "You know what," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Some people are born to lead. Others are born to clean up after them." The room fell silent. Alina didn't reply. She stood up, looked him in the eyes for 1 second, then went back to cleaning. Mr. Grayson laughed and walked away. But that 1 second, that one cold stare, made his skin crawl. He didn't know why. Later that day, Alina found an old woman sitting alone in the staff break room. Her hands were shaking as she sipped her tea. She had been working in the company for 15 years. "Are you okay?" Alina asked softly. The woman nodded. "Just tired, dear." Mr. Grayson said, "I'm too slow now. He might replace me next month." Alina sat beside her. "What's your name?" she asked. "Margaret." "You've worked here a long time," Alina said. "That matters." Margaret smiled weakly. "Not to him. We're just tools to him. When we break, he throws us away." Alina's jaw tightened, but she stayed calm. "Thank you, Margaret. I'll remember this." That night, Alina stood in front of a mirror in the small apartment the company gave her. She took off her cleaner uniform and looked at herself. "I won't stay silent," she whispered. She opened her notebook and turned to a fresh page. At the top, she wrote in bold letters, "Time to make a change." Then she pulled out a small phone. It had no contacts, just one saved number, her father's assistant. She didn't call yet, but she would. Soon. The next morning, she returned to work with a steady smile. The same uniform, the same shoes, but a different fire inside. People still ignored her. The manager still looked at her with disgust. But no one knew what she was about to do. No one knew that the girl with the mop in her hand was holding the power to change everything. The next morning started like any other. Alina walked into the office with her head down and her cleaning cart in front of her. Her hands were cold, but her eyes were sharp. She had been watching, learning. Now she was ready to see the manager's real face. She didn't have to wait long. Mr. Grayson walked into the room with his usual loud voice. "Everyone better be working. I'm not paying people to sit and sip tea." The room went silent. People quickly picked up their papers, typing and pretending to be busy. No one dared to look him in the eye. Alina, standing in the corner with a mop, watched him closely. Grayson walked to a young man at a desk. "You missed a comma in that report yesterday," he said. The young man opened his mouth to explain, but Grayson slapped the paper down. "One mistake, and our company could lose thousands. Do you want that on your record?" The man stayed silent. His hands trembled. Alina clenched her fists behind her back. Later that day, the lunch bell rang. Most workers went to the break room, happy to get away from Grayson's voice, but not Alina. She stayed back and moved closer to the manager's office. The door was slightly open. She heard laughter. Inside, Grayson was speaking to two supervisors. "You see that old woman, Margaret?" He chuckled. "I'll get rid of her next month. She's too slow, always coughing like she's dying. She's bad for the company's image." The others laughed nervously. One of them said, "But she's been here 15 years. Grayson smirked. "Exactly. She's outlived her use." Alina stood frozen outside the door. Her stomach turned. She quickly pulled out her phone and pressed record. Her hands were shaking, but she held the phone steady as the manager continued. "And that new girl, what's her name?" "Alina," Grayson said with a grin. "She's dumb, poor, and scared. She's perfect for cleaning toilets." The room erupted with laughter again. Alina stopped the recording and walked away, her heart pounding. She wanted to burst into the room and scream the truth. But not yet. The time wasn't right. That evening, Alina sat alone on a bench near the parking lot. She looked up at the gray sky. Rain was coming. Her phone buzzed. A message from her father's assistant. "We're ready. Just say the word." She didn't reply. Not yet. The next day was worse. Grayson started a surprise inspection. He walked around the floor, pointing fingers. "You. This desk is messy. That's a warning. You. I heard you left 5 minutes early yesterday. That's 2 warnings." Then he looked at Alina, who was quietly cleaning the hallway. He walked over and grabbed the mop from her hands. "Do you call this clean? Look at that corner. Are you blind?" The whole office turned to look. Alina said nothing. She bent down and cleaned the spot again. Grayson laughed and tossed the mop back to her. Useless. Absolutely useless. People looked away, embarrassed for her. No one spoke up. Only Margaret, sitting in the back, looked at Alina with sad eyes. At that moment, Alina realized something. Fear had made them silent. Even the kind ones were too scared to fight back. That's when she made her final decision. It was time. That night, Alina sent the audio recordings and full report to her father's assistant. Every name, every date, every insult, documented. She included a note. "Prepare the meeting. I want every department head present. I'll expose him myself." The next morning was quiet. Grayson arrived late, as usual. He didn't greet anyone. He stormed into his office with his phone in his hand, shouting at someone. Alina watched from across the room. She knew today would be the day everything changed. At 11:00 a.m., a message appeared on every screen in the building. "Urgent meeting. All staff. Conference room 1. People whispered, confused. Even Grayson looked surprised. "Why wasn't I told about this?" he barked. Inside the conference room, people gathered, curious and nervous. Grayson stood at the front, trying to look calm. Then the door opened. Alina walked in, but not in her cleaner uniform. She was wearing a white blouse, black trousers, and polished shoes. Her hair was tied neatly. Her face was calm. The entire room stared at her. Grayson blinked, confused. "Who are you?" She stepped forward. "My name is Alina Carter," she said clearly. "Daughter of CEO Jonathan Carter." Gasps filled the room. Grayson stepped back, his face pale. "No, this can't be a joke," he said. Alina pulled out her phone. She played the recording of his insults. His voice filled the room. The staff were silent. Grayson tried to speak, but no words came. Then the door opened again. Alina's father, the CEO himself, walked in. He looked at Grayson and said coldly, "You're fired. Effective immediately." The room was still buzzing after the shocking reveal. Grayson, the feared manager, was gone, taken out of the company by the very girl he insulted just days before. The girl everyone thought was a poor, shy cleaner was the CEO's daughter all along. But Alina wasn't smiling. She didn't feel victory in her heart. She felt something else, sadness. As the room slowly emptied, Alina stayed behind. Her father stood beside her, proud but quiet. "You did well," he said. She looked up at him. "I saw too much, Dad. People were afraid. They were tired. And no one helped each other." Jonathan Carter sighed. "That's why I sent you in. To see the truth I couldn't from my office." Alina nodded. She thought of Margaret, of the shy man who shook during Grayson's yelling, of all the quiet pain hiding behind fake smiles. She made a decision. "I want to stay," she said, "not as your daughter, as myself. I want to help fix this place." Her father smiled. "Then it's yours to fix." That afternoon, Alina returned to the same hallway she had once cleaned. But now, people didn't look through her. They looked at her, with wide eyes and small smiles. Some were nervous. Some were curious. A few still couldn't believe it. But one person came forward. Margaret. She walked up slowly, her steps careful and slow. "Miss Alina, or should I say Mom?" she said with a shaky smile. Alina shook her head gently. "Just Alina. Always." Margaret's eyes watered. "You saved us. No one ever cared before." Alina reached out and held her hands. "I care, and I'm not going anywhere." The next day, Alina called her first meeting. This time, it wasn't full of fear. It was full of hope. She stood at the front of the staff room, holding a notebook in her hand. "I know many of you are confused. Some of you might be angry or even scared," she said honestly. "But I want to tell you one thing. I saw what you've been through." She paused. "I was here. I saw it with my own eyes. The bullying, the silence, the fear of losing your job just for speaking the truth." People looked at one another. Heads nodded slowly. "I'm not a cleaner anymore, but I'll never forget how it felt. So from now on, things will change." A man in the back raised his hand. "Will there be new rules?" Alina smiled gently. "No, there will be new people, new leaders, and more respect. No one will be treated like dirt again." A few people clapped, then more, until the room filled with applause. But not everyone was happy. Behind the scenes, two department supervisors who were close to Grayson whispered to each other. "She's just a kid," one said. "She doesn't know how this company runs. Let her play boss," the other smirked. "She'll crash it on her own." They didn't know. Alina was already watching them too. That evening, Alina went to the janitor's room. She opened the closet and stared at the mop she once held. She smiled softly. Then she heard a voice. "You came back." It was the young man who had been yelled at over the report. His name was Ben. Alina nodded. "I missed this place. It's strange, isn't it?" Ben looked nervous. I just wanted to say thank you. No one's ever stood up for us." Alina walked up to him. "You deserve better. Everyone here does." He smiled for the first time. A real, honest smile. And just like that, Alina saw it. The start of something new. But the storm wasn't over. That night, Alina received a message from the company's legal team. Grayson is threatening to sue. He claims he was set up. Alina's eyes narrowed. She opened a folder on her desk, filled with documents, voice recordings, and witness statements. She whispered to herself, "Let him try." The office was quiet. Too quiet. Alina sat at her desk, the screen glowing in front of her. It was past 10 p.m., and most of the staff had gone home. But Alina stayed, staring at the message from the legal team again and again. Grayson is threatening to sue for wrongful dismissal. He's hired a powerful lawyer. Her heart beat faster, but her hands didn't shake. She had expected this. Bad men don't go down quietly. Just 2 days ago, Grayson had walked out of the company, humiliated, but now he wanted revenge. He was telling everyone he had been set up, that Alina used her father's power to ruin him, that he was the victim. And worse, some people were beginning to believe it. The next morning, whispers filled the hallways again, but they were different now. "Did you hear? Grayson's fighting back. I knew he wouldn't stay down. What if he wins? What happens to her?" Alina walked past these whispers, calm on the outside, but burning inside. She didn't want to fight like this, but she would. Not for revenge. For truth. Alina called another meeting. This time, only with key department heads. Her voice was steady. "Grayson is trying to paint me as the villain," she said. "But I have the truth. I saw what he did with my own eyes. And I'm not scared." Some of the department heads nodded. A few looked away. Then a woman spoke up. Her name was Ms. Kara. She had been at the company for 12 years. "I believe you, Alina," she said softly. "But belief won't win a case. You need proof." Alina opened her laptop and tapped a key. A hidden file appeared. It was labeled Project Falcon, Grayson's Lies. Inside were audio clips, emails, employee reports, even camera footage. She had collected it all during her undercover days. Back then, she was just a cleaner. But now, that job had saved her. She pressed play on one clip. Grayson's voice filled the room. "I don't care if they're sick. If they can walk, they work. If not, fire them." The room froze. Then another clip. "Tell Ben to redo the report, or tell him to get out. We don't pay for weakness." Gasps filled the room. Then silence. Finally, Ms. Kara whispered, "You have enough to destroy him." Alina didn't smile. She didn't want destruction. She wanted change. Meanwhile, outside the room, someone was listening. Ben. He had walked by accident, but stayed when he heard his name. His heart pounded. She had saved the recording. She remembered his pain. And now she was using it to protect others. He turned and walked away, his eyes shining with respect. Alina had just earned his full trust. That evening, news spread fast. Alina Carter has evidence. Real evidence. Grayson's followers grew quiet. But Grayson, he became louder. He sent a statement to the press. "I was the victim of a rich girl's game. She tricked me, ruined me, and now she wants to act like a hero." It went viral. People online argued. Some believed him. Some believed her. The war had started, and it wasn't just legal now. It was public. Alina went home that night and found her father waiting. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded. "I'm ready." He gave her a small smile. "I never doubted you." She looked out the window. The city lights sparkled. "I just hope the others still believe in me," she whispered. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ben. Just 2 words. "We do." The next morning, something surprising happened. One by one, workers came to her office. They brought small things. A note they were forced to change. An email Grayson sent them late at night. A story of being threatened quietly. Alina collected them all. Each truth was small, but together, they were powerful. By the end of the day, her desk was full of stories. Real ones. painful ones, and she knew what had to be done. She picked up her phone. "Get the lawyer. I'm not just defending myself now. I'm defending them all." The courtroom was cold, not in temperature, but in feeling. Alina sat at the long wooden table, dressed in a simple dark suit, her hair tied back. No makeup, no fancy shoes, just her truth. Across from her sat Grayson, calm, confident, his expensive lawyer by his side. He smirked as he looked at her. To him, she was still just the cleaner. Still weak, still the little girl playing at being powerful. But he didn't know her anymore. The judge entered. Everyone stood. Alina's heart thudded in her chest. This was it. No more hiding. No more whispers. Now, the whole world would hear what had really happened inside that office. The case had gone public. Social media was on fire. People debated everywhere. Was she using her father's power to punish someone she didn't like? Or was she the brave woman exposing the real face of corporate cruelty? The courtroom was full of reporters, cameras, and company staff. Some of them had once ignored her, insulted her, or called her useless. Now they stared in silence. Grayson's lawyer stood first. He smiled like a salesman. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, "my client, Mr. Grayson, is a respected businessman. He has built teams, delivered profits, managed hundreds. And now he is being accused by a woman who played dress-up in the office." He looked at Alina with a fake smile. She was the CEO's daughter. She could have done anything. But instead, she wore a cleaner's uniform and set traps like a spy. That's not justice. That's manipulation. Whispers broke out in the room. Alina stayed still, her hands folded in her lap. Then it was her turn. She stood up, not tall, but firm. She took a deep breath and spoke clearly. "I didn't come to spy," she said. "I came to see the truth." Her voice didn't shake. "I saw workers bullied for being sick. I saw employees forced to stay after hours without pay. I saw people cry in the bathroom because no one listened." She paused, and then said slowly, "And I have proof." She clicked the remote. A large screen lit up behind her. An email appeared from Grayson, telling an employee they were replaceable garbage. The room gasped. Then she played the recordings. Grayson's voice, cold, heartless, telling someone, "I don't want your excuses. I want results. Or I want you gone." Faces in the courtroom turned pale. Even the judge looked uncomfortable. She didn't stop. She showed messages from staff who had quit because of stress. Notes from those too afraid to speak. CCTV clips of late-night threats. All real. All painful. By the time she finished, no one could look at Grayson the same way. But the most powerful moment came last. Ben walked in. Quietly. He walked to the stand and looked directly at Alina. "She was the only one who ever asked if I was okay," he said. "And when I wasn't, she did something about it." He turned to the judge. "She saw our pain when no one else cared." A few people wiped their eyes. Alina lowered her head, holding back tears. After Ben, more workers stepped up. One by one. They told their stories. The truth came like a wave, and Grayson could do nothing to stop it. His lawyer objected, argued, blamed. But it didn't work. The truth was too strong now. Finally, the judge leaned forward. "This case is not just about a manager and a worker," he said. "It is about power, about the misuse of power, and the bravery to challenge it." He looked at Grayson. "Mr. Grayson, this court finds you guilty of workplace abuse, emotional damage, and wrongful termination." Gasps filled the room. Alina closed her eyes. Not in relief, but in peace. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed her. "Alina, how do you feel? Will you be taking your father's place now? Was it revenge?" She looked into the cameras and said calmly, "This was never about revenge. This was about respect." And then she walked away. No smile, no victory speech, just silent strength. Inside the company, things started to change. Workplace rules were updated. A new complaints office was created. And at the front of the building, a small photo was placed. A young woman in a cleaner's uniform. The title below read, "She saw us. She fought for us. She changed everything." Weeks had passed since the courtroom drama. The headlines had cooled down. The reporters had moved on. But inside the company walls, everything was different. The fear was gone. The silence had broken. People were beginning to speak again. And in the center of all this change was Alina. She didn't return with fanfare. No red carpet, no office with her name on it. Instead, she walked in just like before, quiet and calm. Only this time, everyone noticed her, not because of her last name, but because of what she had done. She wasn't the CEO's hidden daughter anymore. She was the woman who fought for the people no one saw. Alina didn't take a fancy title. Instead, she created one. Employee Care Director. Sounds boring, someone said. Alina smiled and replied, "It only sounds boring until someone saves your job." Her first act. She invited everyone, from cleaners to senior staff, for one-on-one meetings. "Tell me what hurts," she said, "and tell me what helps." Some were scared at first. They thought it was a trick. But slowly, one by one, they opened up. "My manager speaks over me. I'm afraid to ask for leave when my child is sick. I haven't had a raise in 5 years." She didn't interrupt. She didn't explain away their pain. She just listened. And that made all the difference. She created a red box in the office lobby. Anyone could drop an anonymous note inside. Complaints, fears, suggestions, even drawings. One morning, she found a note that simply said, "Thank you. You made us feel human again." Alina stared at it for a long time. Then she put it in her wallet. Not everyone liked the changes. Some of the old managers grumbled. "She's making us soft. She's too young to know how this works. She's just here because of her father." But one by one, those voices faded. Why? Because performance went up. Because people started working better. Fewer sick leaves. More collaboration. Smiles in the break room. The numbers didn't lie. Kindness worked. But Alina wasn't done. She called a company-wide meeting. People expected a speech. What she gave them was a mirror. She played a video showing their own workers, secretly recorded during her cleaner days. Struggling, crying, faking smiles. "I was one of you," she said softly. "And this is what I saw." Silence fell over the crowd. She looked around. "Never again," she said. "Not in this building." Alina then introduced a new system. Mental health days without question. Suggestion rewards for ideas that help the company. No overtime without pay, strict and clear. And leadership checks, where even managers were reviewed by staff. Some called it revolution. Others called it risk. But Alina just called it right. Ben, the office boy who once cried in silence, now ran a new training department. Lily, the ignored receptionist, became the leader of the culture team. Even the janitors had monthly team meetings with real say in changes. Voices were being heard. And for the first time in a long time, the company didn't feel like a machine. It felt like a home. One evening, as Alina walked past the old break room, she heard laughter. Not forced, not fake. Real laughter. She peeked inside. Ben was telling a joke. People were eating together, smiling. No fear in their eyes, no tension in their shoulders. Just peace. She stepped back quietly, wiping away a tear. That was all she ever wanted. That night, she wrote in her journal, "I came in hiding. I leave standing tall. They once ignored my uniform. Now, they remember my actions. I didn't save a company. I helped people remember how to care." Months had passed. Seasons had changed. The company was no longer the same place it used to be. Walls once filled with silence were now alive with conversation. Desks were no longer places of fear, but of focus. People walked with their heads held high. And all of it started with a young girl who once cleaned floors. Her name, Alina. The name Alina was now known across the country. Not because she was the CEO's daughter, but because of what she stood for. News channels called her the Silent Storm. Blogs praised her as the heart of the office revolution. Even schools invited her to speak. But Alina didn't let fame change her. She kept showing up at the office every morning. Same simple clothes, same gentle smile. But one morning, she didn't come. People thought maybe she was sick. A day passed. Then 2. Then 3. Whispers spread again. Where's Alina? Then, on the 4th day, a letter was found on her desk. It was addressed to the people who matter most. The HR head read it out loud. I didn't come here to be seen. I came to see all of you clearly. You changed me more than I changed you. I've done what I came to do. Now, it's your turn. Build a place where no one has to cry in silence, where kindness isn't weakness, but power. I will always be watching, not from the top, but from among you. Tears filled the eyes of many. They realized she was gone. No one knew where she went. Some said she went to work at another company as a cleaner again. Some believed she started a new project in secret, changing one company at a time. And some believed she just wanted peace. But one thing was clear. She left something behind. On her empty office wall, someone hung her photo. It wasn't from her courtroom moment, or the news conferences. It was a simple photo, Alina wiping a desk with a smile. And under it, someone wrote, "Power doesn't shout, it listens." Her ideas stayed alive. The red box, still there. Employee care team, stronger than ever. And every year, on the day she left, the company held Alina Day. No work, just storytelling. Employees old and new gathered to share stories of kindness, fairness, and courage. And every year, someone would say, if she came in again wearing a cleaner's uniform, I'd offer her a chair, not a mop. One day, many years later, a little girl walked into the company with her mother. She held her mom's hand and pointed at the wall. "Who's that lady in the photo?" Her mother smiled and said, "That's the girl who taught us all to see each other. She changed everything, without saying much. She made this place feel like home." The little girl looked up. I want to be like her. Some legacies are written in books, others in buildings. But Alina's legacy, it lived in the way people treated each other, in the silence they filled with laughter, and in the stories whispered during lunch breaks about the quiet girl who once wore a cleaner's uniform and left behind a revolution. 10 years had passed. The world had changed. Technology had grown. People moved faster, talked louder, felt less. But inside one special company, people still remembered her. Her name was still on the wall. Her face still smiled from the old photo. Her story was still whispered to every new employee. Alina, the girl who wore a cleaner's uniform and became a symbol of truth, justice, and kindness. But over time, something began to fade. Not all at once. Slowly. The red box, still there, but dusty. The employee care team, still working, but weaker. The culture, it was slipping, quietly. New management had taken over. They didn't know her, didn't care to ask. To them, Alina was just a nice old story, not a standard to follow. Then one stormy afternoon, a woman walked in. She wore a simple coat, hair tied back, eyes sharp. No one recognized her. She walked to reception and asked, "Can I speak to your employee wellness director?" The receptionist blinked. "We don't have that role anymore." The woman smiled, softly. "I thought so." She handed over a letter, sealed in gold, and walked away. Inside the letter, just 5 words, handwritten in black ink. You forgot what mattered most. And at the bottom, signed, A. News spread across the building. Some thought it was fake. Others froze in shock. Ben, the once teary office boy, now a senior advisor, rushed to the CEO's office. "She's back," he whispered. "She's watching." The CEO laughed. "That girl is gone. You're being dramatic." But the employees knew better, because change had begun the moment she walked in. The next day, strange things happened. A top manager was quietly removed for abusing overtime rules. A silent janitor received a surprise promotion. Employees found warm handwritten notes on their desks. "I see your hard work." The dusty red box, polished and shining again. Nobody knew who was doing it, but everyone felt it. The heartbeat was returning. The old spirit, the one Alina built, was alive again. Then, one afternoon, the company got a message. Not an email, not a video. It was an invitation to a small hall on the edge of the city. Only 50 seats. No media. Just a handwritten note. "Come if you still believe in kindness." All 50 seats were filled. Ben was there. Lily was there. Even the skeptical CEO showed up. The lights dimmed. The crowd fell silent. Then, from behind a curtain, Alina stepped out. She looked older, wiser, but her eyes held the same fire. She didn't speak right away. She simply looked at each person, one by one. And then she said, "I never wanted fame. I only wanted one thing, for no worker to ever feel invisible again." The room was quiet. Some cried. She continued, "You made me proud. Then you forgot. Now I am here, not to fix it, but to remind you of who you were and who you still can be." She didn't stay long. Just 1 hour. She left behind a notebook, filled with new ideas, new systems, new stories from her travels. She called it The Quiet Revolution, Volume 2, and she disappeared again. This time, no one waited for her to come back. They didn't need her to, because they finally understood. Alina wasn't just a person. She was a message. That kindness is power. That silence holds strength. That anyone, even a cleaner, can change the world. And so the legacy lived on, not in her name, but in every kind act, in every voice heard, in every person seen. The revolution never ended. It simply waited for the right hearts to carry it forward.